Years ago, Kathy and I had a marriage crisis. Kathy suddenly fell apart emotionally and became quite emotionally numb. And I was so codependent on her, I fell apart too. It was a very painful experience that went on for about 18 months. And during that time, we felt so hopeless. We knew that God hadn't abandoned us, but it really felt like it. We, of course, assumed it was a demonic attack because it was so unpleasant. So we had to go and see a counselor. And he taught us about emotional baggage and how to get rid of it and how it was affecting our relationship. And slowly we recovered. And our marriage was restored, and we were personally transformed. But later, as we were looking back on the experience, we realized this was not a demonic attack. This was actually the loving hand of God who had to get our attention so that we could grow and be transformed. You see, if we had not been in pain, we wouldn't have changed. Pain is the greatest motivator. And also, we look back and see that this event was the turning point in our life. In fact, my book, Emotionally Free, is a direct result of what I learned in that dark time. We wouldn't be in public ministry teaching emotional recovery seminars if it wasn't for what we learned right then. So that dark, painful experience has become our life message. You see, when we're going through those kinds of times, that's when God will use those times to mold us into His image. That's when we're on the potter's wheel being reshaped. And remember, when you're going through those times, you're never alone. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were thrown into the fiery furnace, and Jesus came and joined them. He was the fourth man in the furnace. You're never alone when you feel like you're in the furnace. And when you're going through these dark times, and it's very painful, it's very unpleasant, you have a choice of how you're going to respond to those experiences. You could choose to become bitter and actually blame God, and it would drive you away from Him. Or you can choose to trust Him and draw close to Him and get to know God in a way that you never would have in good times. And that's what we chose to do. We chose to get closer to God, allow Him to heal our hearts, and we did get to know Him, and we've never been the same since. It was the greatest turning point in our lives as we look back, even though it was terribly painful. So are you going through a painful time in your life right now? I need to remind you, you're not alone. Jesus is right there with you. In fact, you should close your eyes right now, but open your spiritual eyes and see Jesus right there in the room with you. And start a conversation with Him. You can even ask Him, Jesus, what do you want me to know about this situation? And that's going to draw you closer together with Him. But there are times when you won't even know what to pray because you're just feeling so low. And when that happens, worship. You don't have to form prayers. Just worship, because that brings the presence of God into your situation. And that's the kind of comfort you need when it's hard to pray. So worship. It's a wonderful experience when you're really feeling broken. So I want to give you hope that your most difficult times can be a transforming experience and can be absolutely life-changing. So trust God to walk you through and out of these experiences like He did with us. Now I want to hear from you. How has God revealed Himself to you when you've been in times of brokenness? Just leave your testimony in the box below this video. We'd like to hear from you. Also too, below this video is a link to Kathy and I doing a TV interview explaining our marriage crisis and how God walked us through. You just might find that interesting. It's just below the video as well. And if this is your first visit here, you need to get my free self-assessment guide. And to do that, just subscribe to my weekly email newsletter by filling out the subscription form on this page. And I'll talk to you again next week. But this week, if you're in a dark time, just invite the presence of God and start talking to Jesus. He's right there with you.